Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, please help me welcome Dave Delaney.
Thanks, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Tammy. How's everybody doing? Yay. I'm so glad you're here. I know it's early. So, yeah, so as Tammy mentioned, yeah, I'm an old school nerd. Some of you are like, yeah, when you heard Commodore 64, and most of you are like, what? What's a BBS? Actually, I got really retro this year for my birthday. I actually bought a Commodore 64, like original 1984 model. And the geek factor gets into, so I bought the Commodore 64. I bought a Wi-Fi adapter for it that actually connects it to the internet. And so now there's and I'm gonna get really geeky. Now there's BBS emulators that you can go onto these other BBSs now. So I've been doing that in my spare time. So you guys are like, nerd! Anyway, so it's great to be back at Gatlinburg. I'm from Toronto originally. Anybody been to Toronto? Nice, cool. Yeah, very cool. So I'm from Toronto originally. I moved to Nashville, where I live now, about 12, 13 years ago. And that was because I took a trip to Ireland and met my wife there, who is from Jackson, Tennessee. So you never know where life's gonna take you, folks. Yeah, crazy, right? And so we subsequently had 2 kids, and we still have them. They're teenagers now, so it may not work out. But they're Irish twins. So we always joke that we should have seen it coming. They were like, my son just turned 14 like 2 days ago. And so for 2 weeks, they were the same age, which much to my son's horror, he hates it when that happens. So, but enough about me, you're here for this, right? You're not here to see me ramble on. So let's talk about using data. So how many people were here last time I was here? Okay, so maybe 2. 2? Okay. Good, so I can recycle a lot of jokes. Nah, I'm just kidding. So using data to drive business growth. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about can be found, by the way, at google.com/grow. So I'm also more than happy to send you a copy of the presentation. I'll send you a PDF of this. Just bring me up a business card, or you can put it up there or whatever, or write down your email address if you don't have a business card, and I'm happy to send that to you. Come on in, guys. The hashtag, there is a hashtag for you hashtagging folks. It's Grow with Google, so don't be shy about taking out your phone if you'd like me to pose for you. Just use that hashtag Grow with Google right there. There's always different events taking place in different places, sometimes at the exact same time. So I always like to make our events the best ones, so there's lots of photos and things like that. So if you are so obliged, Grow with Google as the hashtag. Okay, you guys ready for the big stuff here?
Ready.
Right. I heard 2 people. Yeah, all right, that's good. There's coffee. If you haven't had the coffee, there's coffee right there. So this is all about data makes your briefcase. By the way, I say data, I say data. Gets confusing sometimes. So data makes your briefcase heavy, insights make you rich. A lot of what this presentation is about understanding and measuring what's going on your websites and what you're doing with digital marketing in general, but also about measuring the results so you know what's happening, and then gaining insights from this information. And I'll get into this stuff, but I want you to be thinking about that. Like, how can you extract, the actual look? I mean, you can look at data, but what are the insights from that data? What are the actionable items that you can use that data for? And then how can you use that to improve your business? And we all want to improve our businesses, right? Just quick show of hands, how many people have like a brick and mortar business? Okay, that's awesome. That's so great. Cool. I'm always curious, because sometimes a lot of people have like an online business, or they provide services outside of their place of business. So I'm always curious about that, but that's great. By the way, Guinness Book of World Records coming for you guys with the scarecrows. That's amazing. When I drove in yesterday, I was like, whoa! Like the scarecrow salesperson has done an amazing job at Gatlinburg. Like she or he, they're going to get a bonus this year, big time. And yeah, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you guys for the Guinness Book of World Records. Are you guys all aware of this? You are, right? Hopefully. You've seen the scarecrows, I know that, right? Okay, cool. So to unlock new opportunities, and I mentioned these insights. True insights need to be novel, they need to be credible, and they need to be actionable. And I'm going to get into this here. So this is Tracy and Danny. They have a company called Wicked Good Cupcakes. They are real. And for the longest time, they had this cupcake company, and they would ship cupcakes to people. But what they found was that the cupcakes in packaging would get kind of destroyed. They would get, kind of banged up against each other. And so they had this idea of sticking them in mason jars. And from that, their business really took off. And they've been using Google Ads and Google Insights, Google Analytics to really grow their business tenfold. So, but before they got into the mason jars, and by the way, if you have a story about how you're using Google for your business, come see me afterwards, because Google's always looking for great stories, and I will just get some information from you and then send it on to Google, because Google often, some of the presentations have videos as well of these different businesses all across the country, so don't be shy about coming to talk to me afterwards, because I would love to get a Gatlinburg business featured in a presentation. But I digress. So they experimented with a new recipe, they loved it, and immediately added it to the menu. So a lot of you might do that, right? A lot of us do that in business, right? We do things from the gut, right? We assume it's gonna work, or we see others doing it, and we think, okay, well, we should try this for ourselves and see what happens, right? So to some extent that could work, maybe, but it's probably better to go with true insight. So experimented with a new recipe, as I said. They liked it, they tasted it, and so they added it to their menu right away. Another thing they did was they cut their prices when sales were down. So sales were not, they wasn't going as well, maybe they hit a little lull, and so they just cut their prices. They thought, okay, well maybe our prices are too high, let's just cut them. Again, that's from the gut, right? And then finally they assumed their target audience were women ages 35 to 54. That was an assumption, again, from the gut, right? So maybe you have a lot of assumptions about your own businesses. I'm going to share some ideas here on how to actually find out for sure what the answers to these assumptions are. So using data. Data equals the facts or the stats to reference, right? So looking at data, looking at the numbers, looking at the information, that's what you reference to extract information from, right? Analytics are those patterns and trends. How many people are using Google Analytics? Just show of hands. Okay. How many people use it every day? Okay, wow, good, great. So analytics, patterns and trends. Insights equals this actionable value. And so, you might have analytics installed and you might look at it from time to time, but if you don't do anything with that information, you're kind of stuck at the second point here, right? You're just looking at analytics, you're looking at it, but you're not actually doing anything with those insights. And that's what I want to urge you to do, is to think about the insights and what is the actionable value. Look at numbers to make business decisions rather than the opinion or the gut. So step one is outline your goals. What are you trying to achieve for your business? All right. So these are things you can write down right now as you're thinking about it, or again, I can send you a copy of this presentation. I do encourage you to do this little exercise. I usually suggest doing it, if you're not doing it right now, do it over coffee somewhere where you're unplugged, because I don't know if you're like me, but I've got a really short attention span, and every time my phone goes off, I'm like, squirrel, right? So outline your goals. What are you trying to achieve? Ask questions. So what answers do you need in order to answer the questions to achieve those goals? And then finally, viewing reports. How can you find the answers to the questions that you have and the questions that others have about your business? What are some goals? What are goals for your business? Just throw them out there. Don't be shy.
Increase traffic.
Great, increase traffic. Why do you want to increase traffic?
More ticket sales, more money.
Bingo, more ticket sales, more money, right? So that's two goals, really, right? Increase ticket sales and then revenue. Anybody else?
Increase profit.
Increase profits, yes. Yes, at the end of the day, that's an important point, right? So you want to be increasing profits. So these are all things that you want to be doing for your business. So outlining these goals. So I'm going to talk through how best to outline these goals using this acronym, and you marketers in the room might be familiar with this already. This is an acronym, SMART, S-M-A-R-T, SMART. How many people are familiar with this? Okay, how many people do this? Yeah, that's good. Honesty is the best policy, that's what my mom says. So specific, right? So look at this, jot this down, and as you're thinking through the goals for your business, this is what you want to do. You want to be specific, right? You want to be measurable. You want to be attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. So getting back to ticket sales, for example, what was your name?
Alwyn.
Alwyn? Nice to meet you. Thank you. So specific, you want to increase ticket sales. That's specific, right? Measurable. So maybe you have a goal, like you want to increase ticket sales by 20%, let's say, right? Attainable, is that doable? Sure, you know. Is it relevant? Yes, to your business. It depends. What business are you in?
Whitewater rafting.
Whitewater rafting, nice, very cool. So relevant, you know, obviously ticket sales, that's relevant to the business, yes? And then time sensitive. So when do you want to increase that 20%? So over a month, over the season, over a quarter, you know, over the year, whatever that time sensitive mark is. Does this make sense to you guys? So if you're not doing this for your goals, you know, you won't know if you're succeeding, right? Because you're not, you're not setting that time sensitive mark on it. So this is an important step in going through this whole exercise of setting your goals. Does anyone have goals they want to share based on this? You guys are shy. Okay, goal. Decrease shopping cart abandonment to under 60,000. So Wicked Good Cupcakes, you've done this yourself, right? Where you go and you buy something online and you put it in the cart and then you're like, maybe I shouldn't buy this thing, right? And so you go away for a while and maybe you don't return. Maybe you don't pull the trigger and actually buy the thing. So shopping cart abandonment is a big deal, especially obviously for online businesses, right? So if people are going and they're putting the tickets in the cart, but they're not buying the tickets, that's a problem, right? So in this case, they, that was the goal. That's what they decided. That's our goal. So then you map out this SMART goal. So I can send you a copy of the SMART goal template, and then you go through this. Sometimes I do this as a workshop, so I'll skip that. So step 2 is asking the question. So what questions do you have? And here they go. So different categories, and these are different questions you can ask. Come on in. Hi. So reach. Who is your audience, and how do you reach them? So so who would your audience be typically?
Families.
Families?
Travelers.
And travelers, yeah.
Adventurers.
Adventurers, great, awesome. So knowing who your audience is, and then maybe thinking through how do you reach them. So how do you reach them now, or how can you reach them? Like maybe they frequent specific websites. Maybe they're looking for family adventures, things like that. Engage, can they find the answers they're looking for? And can you interact with them while they're looking? Conversions, convert, do leads become customers, you know? A lot of you have analytics. You might be looking at analytics going, great, we've got 1 million people coming to our site, but we're not making any money, right? Conversions. And the conversion may not be just making money. It may be signing up for your newsletter. That could be a conversion, right? Or downloading a white paper. That might be a conversion as well. Watching a video, that might be a conversion. And then sustaining, are people turning into loyal customers? So do they come back? Do they come back each season? Do they buy the next thing that you have available? Are they becoming loyal customers? If you have a restaurant, anybody have a restaurant or bar, diners? Okay, cool, nice. I'm a recovering server, so my wife and I both have worked in many restaurants and pubs over the years. Okay, so reach. So let's get into this a little bit. So what are people searching for? Who is your audience, and how do they find you? So currently, do you guys know what people are searching for to find your business, or what you would want them to search for to find your business? Anyone? Yep. Craft beer. Okay. Are you at the brewery?
Gatlinburg Brewing Company, yes.
Nice, great, awesome, yeah. So what are people searching for? They're searching for craft beer, right? Who is your audience? Do you know who your audience is?
Age-wise, we're looking between like 25 to 34.
Okay.
Right in that millennial stage.
Yeah, that's good.
But we get a lot of families, a lot of dads who want to get their sons and daughters into it and get the wife into it as well.
Yeah.
Away from wine, which is fantastic.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're saying like 25 to 34, maybe males deciding, but then bringing the family as well, and maybe even having them help to convert their wives into craft beer drinkers as well. That makes a lot of sense. So that's great. So you have a good vision of who your audience is. And then do you know how they find you online now?
Social media.
Social media?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram are two largest like influencers basically.
Great, okay. So you know that like social media wise, how many people are using social media? Okay, nice. So you're all going to use the Grow with Google hashtag today? Okay, cool. So engaging questions. So what are the questions you can ask to help engage? So what do people do once they find you? So if they find your website, they find you online, what are they going to do? So who wants to shout out something over here? What businesses are you guys in?
Yarn.
Yeah, pardon?
Yarn.
Yarn, awesome. So what do people, so do you have like a brick and mortar or do you make stuff? Okay, great. So what do people do once they find you?
If they're online, they ask me what products we sell.
Nice, okay, great.
Classes.
Yeah, that's perfect. So classes, so like knitting classes and things like that. What do people do once they find you? So they could get in touch with you, right? So they could reach out and ask you a question. Do you have this yarn available? Do you have classes? Maybe book a class. Maybe purchase. Do you sell online as well, or
No.
no? Okay. Where do customers engage you online? So how are they engaging with you online? Do you know?
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, good. Okay, so through social media, right? So they're engaging. The key thing with social media, by the way, and I'm a big proponent of social. I've been on all the social networks since they began. The key thing with social is to connect. So what you want to do with social media, right, is to be social. Go figure. It's right there in the name. But be social in social media. But the objective here is to take people from social media over to your website, right, where hopefully they convert and do the thing you'd like them to do, whatever that CTA is, that call to action. So if it's, we want someone to go to a social network, interact with us there, but then click a link to come over and buy tickets for our rafting company, right? Or to buy yarn for our business, or to buy, or maybe not buy, well, yeah, I guess you could order craft beer. Or to make a reservation in that case, right? So you want people to be able to use social, click over from social to come to your site to do that call to action. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So where do customers engage with you? How do people interact with you online? So you mentioned through social media they interact, which is common. And great, by the way. If you're on social media and you're saying like, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, hey, buy this. Are people gonna buy that? No. They're gonna leave you and unfollow and unlike and all those nasty things. All right, conversion questions. So these are important questions to ask about your business because you may be using social a lot. Great. Is it converting? Do you know for sure that what you're doing with all this time and effort to create content and all these things, do you know for sure that they're converting? So which channels drive conversions? So you can see, what channel, meaning what social network or whatever it is that you're doing online, what's driving sales or what's driving signups and so on. What calls to action drive conversions, right? So you might have different call to actions. One might be to download a rafting guide or downloading like, 10 tips for family fun in the summer in Gatlinburg. And one of those might be rafting, and you might have created this to support the community, and you have other things on there, but ultimately, hopefully you're going to be selling rafting in that case. So what calls to action are people downloading that document? And then which channels have a higher ROI, return on investment? So if you're investing time and money time is money, right? If you're investing time and money into specific tasks or specific marketing strategies, different projects and so forth, are they actually converting to sales or whatever that call to action is? Do you guys know for sure? Maybe some of you do. Hopefully you will by the end of this presentation. And then sustained questions. So do people continue to engage with you, and if so, where? Right, so do they become loyal customers? So do they, take the knitting class from you, and then do they go home and start knitting and build, and create something amazing? Do they like send you a picture of it or post it online and tag you and say, look what we made from your class, or look how we use this wool? So are people still engaging with you, and if so, where? These are all these questions that you need to be asking yourselves, right? Do you respond, and how quickly? That's an important one. If people are talking about you online, or they're mentioning you online, if you're not responding quickly enough, it's kind of discouraging. How many people have posted something online about a brand? Right? Have you ever had that brand reply to you? Feels good, hopefully, right? You hopefully will. One of my favorites is Southwest Airlines. They do a great job of replying and interacting with you pretty quickly. So it's important that you respond to people, even when they leave you a review, to always respond and say, oh, thanks so much for the review. Or, if it's a negative review, it's, hey, give us a shout. Let's talk. I'd like to find out more about, the circumstances or something like that. It's really important to address, a lot of you are using social media. Are you doing vanity searches, ego searches? So that means like setting up searches on social networks for your brand. I would recommend you do that. Like do a search for your business name. Do a search, even an ego search, like search for your own personal name. I did this recently. I've got that because I've been using this stuff for so long. And I found an old image I got an award in Nashville from the American Marketing Association. And my mom was visiting, so she came. And somebody had snapped a photo of her, and she's like, oh, she's like so proud of me. And they tagged me Dave Delaney, but they dropped the EY. And so I have a search for my name misspelled. And actually every once in a while something will come up. And that came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. That's so cool. So I do recommend you do that for your businesses and for the products you serve. Maybe do some searches with like misspellings, or at least do searches for the actual products. So if you're searching for like whitewater rafting, I would do a search for that, or rafting, and search locally and see what's coming up. Went off on a tangent on that one, didn't I? Okay, so do you respond how quickly, and do you give people a reason to return? Maybe that's a coupon, maybe that's, maybe you have a new, like some new wool or a new class about some new technique or different technique of knitting. Crochet, yeah, croquet, that's something else. Crochet, yeah. My mom used to do that. She's British, so I say mom. Sad about what happened in England, did you hear? They lost the Guinness Book of World Record for scarecrows. Yeah! That's it, go Gatlinburg. Okay, so view reports. Aha, Google Analytics. So if you're not using Google Analytics yet, I highly recommend you use Google Analytics. The reasons why, one, it's free, so why not? Two, even if you decide not to do any of the stuff I'm talking about today, but then 6 months from now you say, oh, you know what, remember that time that Dave came and he was talking about all that stuff we should do? We need to start doing that. If you install Google Analytics today, you're going to start recording what's going on in your websites. So you're going to start to know, how many sessions, how many visitors you're getting on your websites. You'll start to have an idea. And you may not do anything with that data yet. But the reason why you do it, if you install it now, is you have that before picture, right? It's like the six-pack abs guy and the before and after photo. You've got like flabby belly and six-pack abs. If you only see six-pack abs, you're like, dude, how can I trust this guy? He's always had six-pack abs. You need to see like flabby, right? Before and after. So if you install Google Analytics now, you'll have that picture of what it looks like today versus what it's going to look like later to understand if what you're doing is working. Or if you're working with an agency, same thing. You can actually see, okay, the agency's helping us. Yeah, look, we started working with the agency in this month, and we can see before we started working with them, we were here, and now we're here. So you know for sure that your agency's doing a great job. So these are all reasons why you should be using Google Analytics. At the very least, just install it so it can start giving you information on what's going on. Does that make sense? And one of the reports is the right now. You can actually see, this is slightly out of focus, but you can see what's happening on your site right now. How many people have an email newsletter? Okay, just a few of you. I'm a big believer in email newsletters, partly because you own the email list. I mean, you have control over the email list. So I do encourage you to, create an email newsletter and give people a reason to subscribe. Don't add people without their consent. That's spam. Don't do that. But the reason why I mentioned it is every Friday I've got my own personal email newsletter I send out every Friday. And when I send it, I always go to Google Analytics and I'm like, ooh, and I see like the number right now I can see it start increasing. Now with Google Analytics, of course, you can't see I can't see that you're on my site right now, specifically you're on there. I can't see that. But I can see general information about geographically. I can see oh, I sent my newsletter and I've got a huge number of people coming from Gatlinburg or something like that. So the types of insights you can get from analytics. Real time, as I mentioned, what's happening right now. Conversions, is the website successful? So are people doing what it is you want them to do? So it doesn't always mean buy something, although that's often the case. It could just mean getting more people to the site so they know you're there. Maybe you're trying to increase awareness in the winter months so that people are coming to the site. Maybe they're not going whitewater rafting in the winter, although why not? The rivers still flow. I don't know if you're open in the winter. But you know what I mean? So what are these conversions? And then audience, who visits the website? So Google Analytics can give you rough age groups, gender, all sorts of information, geographically, where they're coming from. You can get all that information from analytics. And I'll go into this to show you. Acquisition, where do they come from? So are they coming from a social network? You can find out here. Behavior, what do people do on the site when they're there? It's kind of important too, right? If they just come to your site and they leave, that's not good, unless that's what you want. So real time, as I mentioned, happening right now. So these are all actual screenshots from Wicked Good Cupcakes. So you can see here, so this is right now. So let's say they just started an ad campaign, or let's say they're just really busy today. They can be looking at analytics, see how many people are on the site currently, how many sessions. They can see desktop, 83%, 17% mobile. So that's helpful, just that alone, to know, what, are people coming on their phones, or are people coming on their websites, or on their computers. Top referrals, so they can see right now one active user from AOL, from Facebook, one active user. And then this is interesting, where you can see top active pages. So what pages on your site are currently, right now, most popular? So shop online, so people are shopping, that's a good thing. Custom 4-pack landing, custom 4-pack shipping calendar, and so on. So these are all different pages of the website, so they can see which pages are most popular right now. Does that make sense? Okay. Don't be shy about asking me questions as I go. I usually say that at the beginning. I didn't say that, but I always say that if you ask a question, you're a hero. Because the other people in the room, some other people have the same question, but they're like, I can't ask that question. It's a silly question. There are no silly questions. Yes?
Is there any way to set that up, to customize it to what you want to see?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, you can customize the front page of analytics to create a custom report. There's an option in the top right that you can do that. Yes. Good question. Our first hero. There you go. Okay. Conversions, is the website successful? So here, so this is where you can access all these different reports: audience, acquisition, behavior, conversions. So for conversions, if you click conversions and you go overview, you can start to see here. Now, to be clear, if your if you have your e-commerce set up with analytics, you can measure revenue here. Google doesn't have that information out of the box, so if you're not connected to your e-commerce service, or if you connect it to whatever, like if you're using, let's say, like a Shopify or something like that to sell things, you could connect it to that, so you can actually see revenue within Google Analytics. But if you don't have that connected, you won't see revenue information. But in this case, you can. And so you can see here the top conversions. So you can see the highest grossing amounts of money and what's driving each thing. So you can see like 31% of their revenue comes from Google Organic. Do you guys know what organic is? Organic is when you do a Google search for rafting in Gatlinburg, and you come up among the top results. If you come up and then the person clicks that result, that's organic traffic. So when you do a Google search and you click something that's not an ad, that is organic. Does that make sense? Okay. And by the way, everybody always asks me the question, how do I get to number 1 on Google? And if I knew that answer, I'd own a yacht. Current status, canoe. Okay. I'm also Canadian, so I have to have a canoe. It's just a Canadian thing. Also, rafting with a canoe, that sucks. Don't do that. Bad idea. But my point to that is that, so there are 200 different points to Google's algorithm that kind of tells Google and different indicators to help Google decide where to place search results, where to place different content in these organic search results. I have a whole nother presentation that I do that touches into that and talks about that. So next time I will do that for you, hopefully. You'll have me back? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
What's number 5, direct,
Uh,
on the source medium?
sorry.
Yeah, it's the source medium.
Oh, through here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and I was going to go through these very quickly. So yeah, so the first one's Google Organic, 31%. Affiliate, so sometimes you might have affiliate partners who earn a commission from selling your products or services. So in this case, they have an affiliate deal, so that 19% come from affiliates. 3 is Google CPC. CPC stands for cost per click or cost per call. That's Google Ads. So Google Ads are helping them with almost 13% of revenue is coming from Google Ads. Wicked Good To Go email, their email newsletter, 11%. Direct, right? That's somebody entering their domain, wickedgoodcupcakes.com. They're coming directly there. That was 5, direct. So that's somebody entering. So that's somebody who knows, okay, I know exactly where I want to go to buy yarn or to sign up for a yarn class or something like that, or a knitting class. Bing, so Bing, another search engine, organic. Yahoo, organic, you can see there. Facebook. For Facebook here, you'll see an m.facebook and a facebook.com. The m.facebook is mobile, so people coming from mobile, so maybe from the Facebook app, and then facebook.com coming from Facebook itself. And so right there, you can also see revenue from that. So this is where you can start to see conversions, so you know for sure. Remember before, they were doing everything from the gut, and maybe you are too. This is, if you have conversions configured here, you can actually start to know, okay, you know, a lot of you said we have a lot of people coming from Facebook and from Instagram. That's great. Are they converting though? Are they coming from Facebook and buying your stuff? Or are they coming from Instagram and signing up for your newsletter? Like, are they actually doing what it is you want them to do? Yeah?
Do you have any idea of like what a good, I guess, goal is for like a conversion rate? Because I'm and you know, maybe, it probably varies from industry to industry.
Sure, yeah.
I was thinking like that seems kind of crazy high to what I'm, you know,
Yeah.
expect.
Sure, sure. So yeah, so what is a good goal for your business? And it is a tough one to answer because it varies, of course, based on your business, based on where you're located. You know, is there a lot of competition? Is there no competition? You know, things like that. So it's a difficult one to really answer. The best thing I would do is you know, getting back to that SMART acronym, right? Getting back to that page that I talked about, setting SMART goals, is just choose a conversion rate that seems doable, right? The worst thing you could do, I mean, it's the best thing that you could do is surpass your goal. So if you're just getting started setting yourself like a smart quote unquote goal, just set yourself a goal and just, I mean, it's not something you have to share with the world. It's up to you and maybe your business, your team. But setting these goals and saying, okay, let's just set this goal and see where we're at. And if you don't come anywhere close to it, okay, maybe that was just, too far ahead. So then you can adjust the goal to be something a little more reasonable. So it's not the best answer for what you're looking for, but it's something that I
I
recommend.
should know if there's like a global,
Yeah, there's no like,
using all the knowledge that Google has.
right. I mean, you could do a Google search and see like common conversion rates for example, email newsletters, I believe, and again, it varies based on industry, but like email newsletters, I believe is somewhere around 30% open rate is what you want. So if you have, a huge list of people on your email newsletter or list of subscribers, on average, like 25, 30% of those people will, open it. So, yeah. Anybody else have any questions about conversions? Okay. Audience, so who visits your website? So again, you can go over here and choose overview to look at the audience, like who is coming to your website. So here, this is Wicked Good Cupcakes still, by the way. Remember I told you at the beginning, I think they said they were assuming from the gut that they had women, primarily women 35 to 44. But look at this, whoa, 25 to 34. By a long shot, way more women 25 to 34. What would you do with this information if you looked at this and said, oh, if you have the cupcake company and you're assuming 35 to 44 and then you look and you realize, holy crow, 25 to 34, what would you do with this information?
Adjust your marketing.
Beautiful. Yes, adjust your marketing and your messaging, right? Maybe the ads that you're doing don't reflect who your customers are. So in this case, maybe you would want to have like an image of 25 to 34-year-old women, chowing down on cupcakes. I'm craving a cupcake just talking about it. So,
Question.
yes.
So if you've already reached that, why wouldn't you want to target a different audience with your marketing to up that number?
That's a great question. So if you already are here, why wouldn't you want to target another audience? That's a great question. And that's part of the strategy, right? That gets back into your goal. So if your goal is, we know right now that maybe you've been using analytics and okay, most of our clients are 25 to 34. Well, the brewery is a great example of this, right? So you were saying like you were trying, part of your goal, and maybe you're not measuring it quite yet, maybe you are. Part of your goal is to convert more women to become craft beer drinkers, right? And you know that the majority are men who are coming, who are Googling, craft beer in Gatlinburg, and they're finding you because they're planning the holiday and they want tasty beer. IPAs are really lovely. But using this, you can actually look and see, okay, our goal is you don't have to have just one goal for your business either. You can have multiple goals. So maybe one of your goals, beyond like earning revenue and setting financial goals, which is important, you might want to set a goal to increase women as beer drinkers. And so to do that, or to measure that, you could actually set a goal and actually see and hear over time. Let's say you start a campaign targeting women in a certain age group. Over time, you'll be able to see in analytics if it's converting and if you're getting more women coming to your site, more women who are outside of Gatlinburg who are researching, craft beer in Gatlinburg, something like that. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I'm fairly skeptical. So how do you know that those age ranges and those are accurate? How is that?
Yeah.
How do they collect that information?
Right. So this comes from how many people have a Google account in here? Right. So pretty much everybody. So this gives, based on your demographic information and your a little bit of psychographic, but more geographic and demographic information. So again, it doesn't tell you that Dave, who's 40, has come to your website, but it does show you like an average. So it gives you an average based on the information that you have online. So if that makes sense. Again, I mean, it's also, you know, I would honestly base a lot of business decisions off analytics and test it to see what it does for you. But I do encourage you to give it a try at least.
So this may beg the question.
Yeah.
In going through this process, it's the best data you could possibly get
Mhm.
because it's there.
Yeah.
But does it also assume that everyone who's a customer is a digital customer?
Yeah, then that's a great question. So is there an assumption that every customer is a digital customer, right? And it's a great question. So how many people do business? Let me rephrase. So I think in this day and age, it doesn't really matter unless you have like some, like, you know, private business that doesn't want to be known, doesn't want to be public. I would imagine everybody wants their business to be found in a search engine, right? So if I'm planning a trip to Gatlinburg with my family, you know, you're gonna want to, like if you have like your rafting company, you're gonna want to be on Google so that when I do a search and I'm trying to plan out my trip, my vacation with my family to Gatlinburg, you're gonna want to come up. So even though the customer may not come, I'm not saying 100% of customers research what to do online. I mean, there are certainly there are people that don't use the internet at all, but I would imagine they're quite a minority. There are not too many of them at this point, right? So if people are researching, you might get walk-ins, is what I'm saying. Like somebody might be walking down the main street in Gatlinburg and they might come into your shop and buy tickets today, and you will have no idea of they didn't have any interaction with you online, right? But what I'm saying is that I would argue that most people do, to some extent. They may not come to your website, but they may do a Google search and see what, you know, they may read an article from like the tourism group that says, or the chamber that says, you know, 10 fun things to do in Gatlinburg in the summer, and they may find you there, right? So, yeah, I would think that most people are gonna do an internet search of some sort. And again, here you can see, you know, female versus male, or excuse me, female versus male, you can see, you know, how that breaks down. So acquisitions, right? So the acquisitions report will show you the search queries, so how people are searching for you. So in this case, Wicked Cupcakes, so maybe they're in Boston and they really love cupcakes. Wicked. Sorry, I'm here all day. Tip your servers. Steve, the AV guy, Steve's awesome. He was telling me there's a man here, a comedian who was here. I don't know if you guys were here, and he was telling me the story of this poor guy who was doing like his comedy, but he kept doing this every time he said his punchline. So he would do his punchline away from the microphones, and like the audience were like not responding at all. And then afterwards, he's like, "You got to talk into the microphone." So anyway, Wicked Cupcakes. So if somebody does a Google search and they search Wicked Cupcakes, this is how they're finding them. Wicked Good Cupcakes, so they're searching for the business by the name of the business, which is a good sign. Cupcake in a jar. You know, oh, I heard about this in some talk show or some magazine about cupcakes in mason jars. So these are all the different terms that people are searching for to find them, search queries. So this gets into the acquisition reports under search queries. And some of these search terms, by the way, if you don't have cake in a jar or gluten-free cupcakes, like people are searching for that to find you, you may want to, based on this, like cupcake in a jar, even though you use the term mason jar, maybe cupcake in a jar should be near the top of your website. This can help inform your ads and the language you're using on your website. And then behavior. So what do people do once they come to your site? So in this report, you can see that they come like to the home page. A percentage of them drops off, so they come to the home page and then they leave. Or they start at the home page, then they come down to shop online, and you can actually see the page where they may make a purchase. You can see the drop off as well. Shop online, that's a different shop online page. And so you can see the pages, and then you can see additional sessions. So if somebody comes to your site and then later on returns twice, and they go, okay, they're not going to come to the homepage. They're just, maybe they bookmarked it. They'll come right to the shop online page and make a purchase. And so you can start to see what people are doing on your site. So if you have a page on your site, let's say you've got a brand new wool that you're selling, you can see here if that page is getting any action. And if it's not, maybe address that with a advertising campaign, or maybe feature it on the homepage, something like that. So navigate reports in Google Analytics. You can do this in an analytics demo. Again, this is more of the workshop slide. I would just recommend installing analytics and actually poking through these reports that I'm talking about now. As I mentioned before, if you start measuring what's going on now, you'll have that benchmark historic data to refer back to when you decide to do other things. So to recap what I've been talking about here, the first step, and again, I will give you a copy of this if you want to bring me a business card, or just jot down your email address, I will send it to you. But outline your goals. So think about that SMART acronym and outline the goals for your business. So what are some goals that you can set? Does anyone have any ideas for their business now? Not yet? Okay. Outline your goals. Ask those questions that I mentioned in the presentation. So ask those questions about your business and about your customers. Choose the tools that are going to apply, that are going to help, and then measure the results and take action. Because again, you can get all this data, you can have it in analytics, but if you're not referring back to it, there's other data out there too, of course. Like, how many people have a Google My Business profile, a Google Business profile? Most of you do, great. I'm going to assume those are all the people that were here last time I was here, because I was talking about that last time. If you don't already have one, especially with a brick and mortar business, you really should. It's google.com/business, where you can set up your business profile. But the business profile, by the way, in a Google search, if you do a Google search, you get ads at the top, organic below. If you're on desktop, let's say, and then in the right side, there's a square box. Hopefully you have a business profile set up and it's verified. If it's not verified, you can't edit that information, and you want to be able to edit that information and use that area. But the reason why I mentioned it is because it also has its own insights section. So you can actually see what's going on in there. You can see if people are requesting or getting directions from your business profile, because the business profile listing also gets you on Google Maps. So if you're not on Google Maps, that's probably why you don't have a business profile. And I don't know about you, but I use Google Maps all the time. I like it, my wife and I, being recovering servers, we love supporting local businesses, local restaurants and cafes and stuff. So we always research on Google Maps as we're driving down the road. Whoever's not driving will go on Google Maps and find a restaurant down the road that we can stop at, and we can look at the menu and make sure that our picky kids will eat there. And the other thing with Google Maps that I love too is, do you guys ever use Google Maps like with your headphones walking? Has anybody ever done that? I love it. So you could be listening to a podcast or music, and you have your destination in there. Let's say you're in like New York. You could be walking down the street and it's just like, turn left, and you're like, yeah. Like you totally know where you're going. It's pretty cool, pretty handy that way. Yeah?
Quick question. You mentioned about, as you were saying, going down the road searching for restaurants or whatever.
Yes.
Particularly our restaurant, if you're looking at Google Maps, it doesn't show up unless you zoom in, and then it'll show up. How does that, or how can we change that to where if you're anywhere close, it automatically shows up without having to zoom in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I might have to take a look, but and it depends how far somebody does have to zoom in, because that may just, yeah, it's a good question. So like when you're zoomed out and you don't see it, like how far out are you looking?
No, we can be right on our premises and it's not showing up, but then
Okay.
if you zoom in,
Yeah.
then it pops up.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Sometimes there may be issues with that. One thing you can do is that if you have a challenge or anything, the fine folks here at the Chamber can help you, because they have access to a live chat in the portal, in the Grow with Google Partner portal. On Tuesdays, I think it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, there's actually a Google rep there that you can live chat. to help folks. So if you need help that way, but yeah, I can take a look after and see and take screenshots. That often helps as well, and try to figure out what's going on with that. Yep.
Me?
Yeah.
Looking under the search queries,
Mhm.
and there's nothing there, which seems unlikely.
Yeah.
So why,
How long have you had analytics installed for a while?
we've been on there for years.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't
And I
know.
remember, it's been a while since I've looked at it.
Yeah.
There used to be stuff there.
Yeah. What about the date range? What date range are you looking?
I picked,
Try to widen it. Like look at because you can look at the date range.
first to today.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just look at the year and see what happens. See if anything comes up there. And if not, again, that's something I can look into for you. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing with analytics that's really handy. The one feature that I love is you can look at this month or this quarter or this whole year, and you can actually compare it to the previous period. So you can actually look. So you can look at like last year, or if you look at like the last 30 days, you can look at the 30 days before that, or the same period last year to get a gauge. And again, that's why it's handy to have this installed, so that way you can see, okay, last fall we had this many sessions, we had this many conversions and so forth, and now you can see, now that we're doing ads and we're doing all this content marketing stuff and all this, you can start to get an idea of how that compares. But yeah, let me take a look at that after, I'll see. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm not a whiz at tech, but on my phone, and sometimes when I go to businesses and I leave, I'll get an opportunity to review. So I'm
Yep.
a Google local guide, if you will.
Sure.
So how is it that businesses make that happen? Or is it automatic? Do they have to be on Google Maps? Or-
To get the option where people can leave reviews for your business. With a business profile, you can then, like a Google business profile, reviews are part of that. So that's where people can leave reviews for you. Business profiles, like when you do a search for your business at google.com/business, if you do a search for your business, you may find you have a business profile, but you haven't actually done much with it. So maybe somebody helped to set it up, but it's not verified. You want to get it verified so that you have control over it, and you can respond to reviews, or you can post photos of new products and services, or share updates and all that good stuff. Yeah, the review thing, by the way, is like I mentioned it before, but it's such an important thing to respond to reviews quickly. How many people have left a review online anywhere? Most of us, right? You leave a review because you want people to see it, and you want a response from the business owner or the manager. Otherwise, why post it online, right? I mean, I could call you on the phone and say, hey, try this new restaurant, it's awesome, you should check it out. Or this restaurant sucks, don't go there, or whatever, right? But if I really want the world to see it, I'm gonna post it online. And that's the same reason why we all leave reviews. So when you leave a review for a business, if you have a business profile set up and you have the app as well, which is handy, you'll get notified when you get a new review. And I always say, like, if you get a 5-star review or a positive review, respond and say, thanks for the review. It takes a second. You might add, thanks for the review. Which wool did you end up buying? Or what did you make with the wool? If it's somebody leaving a really positive review, it's a nice way to maybe start a little conversation there. If it's a negative review, and that happens sometimes. Sometimes, as I said, recovering server. I understand, like sometimes, the food comes out wrong, or, the kitchen's delayed because you're slammed or whatever. If somebody leaves a negative review, the best thing you can do as the business owner or the manager is to respond and say, sorry you had a poor experience, and this is up to you. You could say, here's my direct phone number, give me a call so I'd like to learn more about what happened. Or here's my email address, I'd like to learn more, please reach out to me. And then if you're researching a restaurant or a hotel or whatever, and you see a negative review, and you see the manager or owner has responded, that's reassuring at least. Now, if all the reviews are negative, that's not a good sign. So the best thing you can do in the case of getting a negative review, beyond responding, is to focus on making sure that you're getting great reviews from your customers as well. Yeah.
Just a little bit off the path or whatever. You're talking about reviews.
Yeah.
In our business, I own a restaurant, and we get certain positive reviews. And as a business owner, you know, I may not remember you, but I may know exactly who I'm talking with.
Sure.
And I may ask them, you know, what product did you have, or, you know, what did you have for dessert?
Yeah.
And then that way I take that information and try to push it, you know, toward other customers
Yeah.
in a review. Because
Yeah.
if somebody's sitting there looking at your reviews, they will look at the business owner's response,
Yes.
and they look at that and they go, oh, I didn't even think of that, or whatever. And then the next time your customers come in, they may say, I saw this in a review or whatever, you know, and
Yeah, no, exactly.
it's that way as well.
Yeah, and to that point, that's a great point. So there is actually a service within your Google Business Profile where you can actually, it will generate like images, automatically generate images of your reviews that you can use online. You could even download a PDF of like of some of your positive reviews where you can actually print them if you choose. So you can print them on paper and post them in your restaurant, or you could like create a banner, you know, saying like the best apple pie in Gatlinburg or something like that. You could actually print that and create a banner out of it. So there's some templates that it automatically generates, which is pretty cool too. So just something to look at. Someone else had a question? Yeah.
Constant contact.
Yeah.
How do we get people to join?
Yeah, so Constant Contact. So for those who don't know, Constant Contact is an email marketing platform. So for an email newsletter, Constant Contact is a good service. Also a Google partner. So how do you get people to join your newsletter? Well, the best way is to offer something of value. So what's your business?
Tobacco.
Tobacco? Okay.
Pipes.
Pipes, stuff like that, yeah. So,
We did that. We sent out mailers.
yeah. So,
Offered a
okay, so yeah. So by creating content, like you could say like, there's different ways. So there's one way where you could offer something of value, and I'm trying to think for your business, like, you know, with pipes and things like that, like you have to think of like, will somebody download this document in order to sign up for your newsletter? It may be like sign up for our newsletter because we have new flavors of tobacco each month, or we have like sign up to receive the, you know, top 10 pipes that we sell, or look at the newest version, the newest ones we get in stock. Be the first to know, something like that. What you want to do is create value in your newsletter. So you put yourself always, with everything, put yourself in the shoes of your customers. So would you care that there's like new style pipes? Well, if you're a pipe smoker, or you know one, and you're looking for gifts maybe, then maybe, yeah, that's totally what you would be looking for. If not, it could be a different type of newsletter. Like it could be a newsletter like from your perspective of owning this business for so many years and the things that you've learned. It could be something like that, more of a personal newsletter. So what you want to do is just create something of value. You know, you guys could have a newsletter for like the best places to go in Gatlinburg, best things to do in the season and stuff like that. So yeah, so do some thinking on what you don't want to do is you don't sign people up for your newsletter without their consent. That's a big no-no. So like don't add people to your list. Instead, give them a reason to sign up. You could let them know and say, hey, we have a brand new newsletter where we're featuring the top 5 pipes each month, and you can sign up here. You can incentivize them, excuse me, like doing a sweepstakes, like, you know, sign up for our newsletter and be entered in our draw for, you know, a pipe giveaway or something like that, of, you know, following all the laws and all that jazz. Not a lawyer. So, any lawyers? No lawyers, sorry. I like to point people out. So yeah, those are some ideas though. Any other questions?
I'm just curious about a muffin in a jar.
Yes.
I'm sitting here watching this whole thing.
Yeah.
And are they successful jars, and a muffin just seem like a waste of a jar?
No, they're very successful. Yeah, they're very successful, and they're a great example of a company that, you know, they started from the gut. Like they started just making assumptions about their business and about their customers and their prospects. They started by using assumptions. And once they started using Google Analytics, they started to get a better feel for who their customers are, where they are, things like that. And that's the same that you can do, like with Google Ads, for example. If you do a Google ad campaign, you might see that a lot of your customers are coming from certain areas. So you can see that people are buying your tickets, or they're at least researching you. A lot of you are in tourism and hospitality, so maybe people are from Nashville or from where I am, or Charlotte or wherever. And you can see in analytics where they are coming from, right, to your site. And that can give you some insights to think, wow, look at all the people coming to our website, researching us from Nashville. Maybe we need to create an ad campaign targeting the greater Nashville area, Maybe we need to use Nashville imagery in the, as part of the ad that we create or the content that we create. So very quickly, if you go to google.com/grow, you'll find a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about, but more resources for teachers and students, for local businesses like you, for job seekers, and for developers as well. There's a lot of really great content at google.com/grow. And that is the presentation. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget to use that Grow with Google. You guys are all on social media. So yeah, do that. That's it. Thank you.